My Lord and my God, I firmly believe that you are here, that you see me, that you hear me. I adore you with profound reverence and ask your pardon for my sins and the grace to make this time of prayer fruitful. My Mother Immaculate, Saint Joseph, my Father and Lord, my guardian angel, intercede for me. Jesus, one way that we can really make this time of prayer fruitful for us is prayer of intercession, praying for others. Many people ask us to pray for them. And in fact, on a daily basis, we see many occasions that have no human solution. Things that we get worried about, things that we get very worked up about even, because we're trying to find a human solution to it. And we're frustrated because none seems possible. Whenever we have done everything that we can and still we're at a loss, then we're really confronted with the reality that this is a problem that only you can solve. And so much of our frustration is because we fail to recognize that. And one of the big challenges that we often face, Jesus, in our prayer, and I face it too, and so I'm speaking in a sense from a personal capacity, is the whole question of sickness. Dealing with sickness is a huge challenge for us. It interrupts our enjoyment of life often. But sometimes dealing with sickness in other people can be an even greater challenge still. How do we cope whenever those whom we love or those whom we depend upon don't have the same capacities as they once did have? It can be a huge cross that many people are bearing. And situations that need your help, Jesus. And so in our intercession today, we want to pray for the sick and for those who care for them. And this is inspired by the gospel today. There is this beautiful encounter that we read in this gospel of the healing of Simon Peter's mother-in-law. That as soon as you went into his house, Jesus, they were keen that you would do something for her because she was suffering from this terrible fever, so much so that she had taken to her bed and she was no longer able to function. So this must have been something serious. And moreover, in a time whenever medicine wasn't as advanced as perhaps it is today, a fever could be a really serious thing. Many people would die from things that today would be relatively easy to treat. And so this fever obviously was troubling Simon Peter and those who were in his house. So immediately this was a concern that they brought to you. This is kind of a pattern of how we could and should behave. We bring things to you, Jesus, that need your solution. And you heal her. It's an amazing, beautiful, brief encounter. They bring you to her and you heal her. And that's immediately followed by what St. Luke tells us, kind of a procession of sick people coming to the house. So much so that the whole night you're healing many people, maybe even thousands of people. And those who were suffering not just illnesses of body and mind, but also of soul. We learn that many were freed from diseases and devils. People who were suffering in their soul because of evil. Now, I suppose anytime I had really thought about this before, I was thinking about the sick person themselves and how wonderful it was that Simon's mother-in-law got cured, and all of these amazing miracles that take place afterwards, so many people being cured. But it occurs to me, Jesus, that it was perhaps even greater for the people who brought the sick to you, that their loved ones were cured. Because so much of the anxiety of care is about trying to get that person to the right place, trying to get them the help and the support that they need, especially whenever we're frustrated because we can't offer it ourselves. And so I imagine the relief that was spreading throughout the whole of that tiny little lakeside town was because you were doing something miraculous for them too. People bringing sick and loved ones to you, Jesus, were healed in a sense themselves. Now, I spent the first 3 years as a priest, as a hospital chaplain. And often, whenever I would think about how you healed people in the gospel, Jesus, I would think how much I would have loved to have had that power myself. To see a sick person and to lay hands upon them and for them to be cured. And many times, Jesus, you know this, I prayed exactly for that people would be completely and totally cured. People whose health situations were very desperate indeed. And I know that was a prayer of a lot of sick people in their hospital rooms as well. Sometimes even for simple things. To get a good night's sleep. To be able to eat their breakfast. To be able to breathe deeply again. Little miracles, of course, did occur. Thank you, Jesus, for those. And sometimes I was frustrated too, if I'm honest, because I felt that maybe my prayers weren't being answered. And people perhaps were not being cured or healed exactly in the manner that I thought would be better for them. Jesus, you know all things, and your loving providence guides all things, even if we don't see it. But bringing sick people to you, Jesus, for your healing, for your blessing, is an important part of what it is to be a Christian. And I realize that too. That bringing souls to you is something very pleasing to you. You want us to pray for our loved ones. You want us to pray for those who are truly in need. We see this time again also in the Gospels. We think about the friends who lowered the paralytic man down through the roof of the house just so that you would heal him. So desperate were they to get close to you and to bring him to you that they were not stopping at any obstacle. Perhaps even the paralytic man wasn't conscious. Who knows? Maybe I'm reading too much into it. But let's just assume for a moment that it really was their desire for him to be healed, and maybe he didn't even so much know what was happening because of his sickness. But that was something very pleasing to you, that we bring other souls to you. I share a little insight that I had recently whenever I was saying Mass exactly on the day whenever that was the gospel of the healing of the paralytic man. And standing at the altar just before communion, looking down at the sacred host upon the paten, it made me think about the vantage point that those friends had. Standing on the roof, they looked down and could see you, Jesus, below. And here I was, standing at this moment at the altar, but looking down to see you. At that moment, it made me think again about the intention for which I was celebrating that Mass, the reason why I had gone to the altar to offer a particular Mass for a particular intention of a soul, lowering them like the friends upon the stretcher down to you upon the paten. I think it's very pleasing to you, Jesus, that we do that, especially at the Mass. That we lower our intentions down to you upon the altar, from our vantage point, whatever it might be, of health, of happiness, of employment, of liberty. That we have an opportunity to lower souls down to you for their healing. Lower souls down to you for your healing, in the way that you know best, at the time that you know best. But it is our privilege to be those friends. It is our privilege to be the one who can help a soul by bringing them closer to you. So Jesus, as much as humanly speaking, we might be frustrated that we don't seem to get our way, or maybe we see that our prayers are being answered in a manner which is confusing or strange to us, help us with your grace still to bring those souls to you, to pray for whatever it is that they are asking for, but to allow you, Jesus, to be the one who really heals them. Help us, Jesus, to lower all of the things of our heart and those of others to you upon the paten at Mass also, and to see this special moment when you are with us upon the earth as a moment for true healing. I give you thanks, my God, for the good resolutions, affections, and inspirations that you have communicated to me during this meditation. I ask your help to put them into effect. My Mother Immaculate, Saint Joseph, my Father and Lord, my guardian angel, intercede for me.